Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Charles Adeniyi, and this is the point in the program that I introduce our guest analyst, who is here to give his perspective on nearly everything we've covered in the past 45 minutes or so on the program. And today I'm joined in the studio by the political and current affairs commentator and professor of communications at Bayes University in Abuja, Professor Adeniyi. Good to see you, Prof, and Happy New Year.
Same to
This
you,
is the first
Charles.
time we're seeing in 2026.
Wishing you all the best in the new year, Charles.
Same to you. And you were obviously here listening to Senator Aminu Tambuwal. Remarkable achievements at the age of 60.
Yeah, quite remarkable indeed. And of course, he's not alone in that bracket. Quite a number of his friends have also done very well for themselves within that relatively short period of time. But again, it tells us that there's still so much that he can achieve. The presidency is still there for him to aspire to. And I see him, yes, he didn't admit that he's interested in 2027 presidential race, but I see that, as one more step that he will look up to, again, realizing the fact that he once bidded for, the presidency, And of course, he's a centrist, he's a moderated politician. He looks to me a personable, a gentleman. And from what he said again, I know that at the time he was very close to FCT Minister, Wike, and of course they parted ways. And typical of the FCT Minister, he has fired several shots at him over the years, but he has never replied. I've never had him replied anyway. And of course, when he didn't do it again. Yeah. And of course, he was even still somewhat charitable, playing up the good part of Wike in not negotiating with him before he supported him where he last ran for the presidential in the presidential race. So I think he's a gentleman, and I also see that's probably why he's very close to someone else that I know, Emeka Ihedioha, for instance, with whom they've been friends over the years. Yeah. So I think the future is still very, very bright for him, and he's trying to play his politics now on the aegis of the ADC, which is the new kid on the block.
But he seems to be testing the waters, though, for the ADC. He's saying that he's transitioning, but he's still consulting. Is that just a political sort of way of putting it?
I think it's also because the ADC is also still in transition. They are not they cannot be too sure of anything just yet, because they have not found their feet yet. They are not quite steady yet, because the presidential race is imminent. Something that if people are anxious about is the presidential ticket. Who will get it? Quite a number of people are apprehensive that there might be, some uneasy calm, when the race begins.
Yeah. So that's why he's being cautious.
Yeah, who is going to step down for the other?
But I mean, if you look at, if assuming, for instance, he doesn't throw his hat in for the 2027 presidential ticket, I mean, if he wants to run again as a senator, he has to have a platform, doesn't he? And it's unlikely that he's going to go to the APC that he left.
But he can still win.
Or that he fled from. Or the PDP that he himself admitted was a complete sort of
But Charles, I imagine that he's very confident of his popularity in Sokoto State.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to
it doesn't matter which platform he's on.
I think he can still win. Right. I don't know much about Sokoto politics at that level anyway. But something tells me that he can still go back to the Senate on the platform of the ADC. Going by his popularity over the years from 2023 when he started running, and even before, when he's been playing politics, from the prism of that state onto the national stage. But beyond that, again, I think it's been measured, been moderated, because the ADC seems to be still building. They're still constructing. They're still in a stage of construction, and until they get to a reasonable level, they can't be too sure of anything. But that is suffices to say that they have some heavyweights in their midst who could help galvanize support, the goodwill that they need.
Yeah, but it could also divide the party, couldn't it? Especially this issue of who's going to get the ticket.
It's a very delicate one, and they need to manage it well. But we can't also hope too much for, or pray too much for them, because it's something that is also often always practical. Can they be very realistic? Can we have quite a number of them be more sacrificial, not thinking that it has to be me, you know? If they are very insistent,
that's always the problem.
There's likely going to be a problem, you know. But if they can actually make sacrifices and say, okay, this man appears to be the most popular amongst us, somebody who can give, who can make the ruling party feel their impact, then of course they will achieve some mileage. Yeah.
But the question is whether that will be the case, because knowing your Nigerian politician as you do, I mean, and we had Atiku coming out the other day saying he's not going to step down for anybody. But again, Peter Obi has also said that he's definitely going for the top ticket. So, I mean,
I want to be comforted by what Senator Tambuwal said, that they have a leader in David Mark, who is also another astute political leader, a very good player at that. Who is leading them, you know. I want to believe that he should be able to rein in on the contenders, you know, to be a little more sacrificial, you know, to look at the bigger picture if they want to remain credible as an opposition.
Yeah, but nothing, nothing stops them, sorry to interrupt you, from saying, well, I really want this ticket. If you're not going to give it to me, I'm going to go to another party. Which would divide the...
but Peter Obi, for instance, has done that before. He was in the PDP before. He was not going to be given ticket, and he went to Labour Party and made a statement. He can still repeat it, you know, if that was good. If they are not going to give him the presidential ticket, because if he doesn't get it, for instance, I don't see why he should be in that party. Looking at the kind of traction that he has built over the years, the credibility that he has, the integrity that he has, you know, and the kind of following that he has, you know, I'm not sure they want him to play a second fiddle to anyone in that party.
Okay.
It has to be the number one fiddle, or the number one slot. Otherwise, someone like him, I see him pulling out. You know, but that's not what we want. We want them to be consensual in their decisioning process, as the case could be.
Prof, thank you very much indeed. Professor Abiodun Adeniyi is a political and current affairs commentator and professor of communications at Bayes University in Abuja. Good to see you again.
My pleasure. Thanks.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.